Alrighty, we are back again. Erban Creative. I'm Eric, the founder of Erban Creative Video Production, sort of website, sort of graphic design, sort of everything, 360 creative agency based here in New York City. And we have another video topic for you guys. And like I said before in my other videos, I'm really starting from the bottom and working our way up, because you got to start somewhere. Started from the bottom, now we're here, right? Like these dudes over here. They're cool, right? Hey, this is Chris Dack's art studio. Pretty rad. Check out his artwork. I'll have some type of URL, or you can follow him on Instagram. I'll have something there that's just gonna kind of show like that. But yeah, I'm over here chilling with my bros, chilling with them, and we're gonna talk about another topic that happens, you know, when I kind of first started off with videography, and stuff that I just wish I knew before making mistakes. And there's plenty of mistakes that you end up doing in this business, but I want to talk about just a couple basic ones that you can avoid that I didn't at first. So it's a little bit of some personal stories. Let's go. So one of the first things that I wish I knew before I started doing videography is that lens for your camera. Which lens do you need to get just to start off? So yeah, let's talk about that a little more. A little show and tell here. I have one lens here and another one here. So what's the difference between these two lenses? There's a lot, but the one thing I would say though is when I first started doing videography was I was buying these lenses that are only 1 millimeter size. So this is a fixed size that you would call it. This is a Sigma 56 millimeter lens, which is not cheap, by the way. And the thing is, this was my first lens that I actually bought. And it's an awesome lens, don't get me wrong. You get a really good close-up bokeh to the side kind of view if it's like a close-up shot. But what I ended up finding out was this lens does not work with a lot of different environments. And that's the problem that I was running into, is that I was buying lenses in the beginning where they were just these fixed lengths. So it was like either a 56 millimeter or a 25 millimeter for a wider one, but they're fixed. And when you're on the job, it's a little hard to like switch from one lens to the other, and it takes up space in your backpack or your luggage that you're using to cart this stuff around. So what I should have done is, instead of just getting one lens for one focal length, I should have got something like this that is an adjustable lens. And that's pretty much a blanket statement across. You can get various different types of adjustable lens, but what I mean by that is this one is an adjustable one for 70 millimeters to 210 millimeters. Say I'm doing an event and I have to have my camera very far away, like very far away, but I need to get close up to the stage or what have you. This lens is great because it adjusts, and this is actually an old school Canon, by the way, FD lens that works well on Blackmagic, surprisingly. And they're pretty cheap actually to buy. But yeah, you can see that it can start from 70 millimeter, but as soon as I push that in, it goes to 210 and it gets super close up, like very, very close up. I actually use this lens for a welding client to get super finite close up of the actual weld happening, the flame and everything like that. So it can get pretty microscopic with this one. And then I would say too, like right now, I'm actually using an adjustable lens right on that camera. You can't see it because I'm using it right now. But this is a Lumix adjustable lens, 12 to 35 millimeter. And I'll tell you what, that range I use for like 90% of my videography jobs. I love to try to test out the 56 millimeter. 90% of the time I can't use this lens unless I'm just using it as a close-up shot of like a facial side angle. So This lens, the 12 to 35, that kind of range, it could be 10 to 40, depending on the camera model and the lens, you're gonna have different variations, but those between that range works really well for practically anything from events to get a wide shot of the room and everything like that, or to even get a little closer where you have a mid shot where what we're doing right now, and it's just kind of got a good space here. So even with my lens, I did adjust as I needed to, given the space that I needed to. And that's the great thing with adjustable lens. You have that power to just quickly adjust as you go. When you have a fixed lens, you're gonna try to swap it out with another lens. And if you're just starting out, you don't know your focal lengths, even if you're watching YouTube tutorials on it, it's just better to have an adjustable lens so you kind of get a better understanding of what millimeter you should have for that particular space. Okay, next up, audio. A pain in the ass, by the way. Audio is always a pain. There's always different ways to do it. There's always variables. Things tend to go wrong more than they go right. And I went through basically every stumbling step. The right type of audio that works well with just being a videographer. And what I mean by that is there's whole other different career paths for doing audio. Someone that is supposed to be specialized in actually capturing the audio. And when you're on those bigger productions, either a movie or a documentary, they have their whole AV audio team that makes sure everything works well. But if you're just a run and gun type of videographer that I started off, or even video shoots that I do now for events, the client is just gonna expect you to know how to do it and know how to do it quickly. So in the beginning, you're gonna think to yourself, okay, I can just get a lav mic on Amazon that's like $50 and that's just gonna make it work. No, don't do that if you wanna start getting into professional videography and you're going on professional jobs. You're going to need to step up your game and not get the mics that are like $50 and below, and invest in something that is going to be durable, easy to set up, and the quality of the audio is there. But you don't have to get too expensive as well. So I'll say the mistake that I did. In the beginning, I was using those $50 and below lav mics thinking they would work, which they don't. They get tripped up, or the wiring and the sound quality would get scratchy, and it's just not a good deal, right? But then I tried to get the more expensive mic, which was a Sennheiser G4, which, don't get me wrong, Sennheiser is like the gold standard for audio, which it is, but the G4, at least that one in particular, it just took too long to set up. I had to sync in the channels, and each place is different because it's kind of like you had to do like a scanning of the channels, and depending on where it's at to match the right frequency from the receiver to your lav mic, it was just too much to set up. And a lot of times it just would take too long for these clients, and they're just waiting for me to get the audio set up, and I'm like, that doesn't work either. So what was the solution? DJI. And this is not a paid commercial for them, but I just will say that a lot of DJI's products, whether it is lav stuff or drones or even some of their cameras that they have, it's very easy to use and just very easy to set up. So what I have, which again, I'm not getting paid for this, but I'll put a link below for the gear that I use for it, is a DJI Lav Mic 2, which I know they have the newer model now. That's, I think, a Lav 3. That's probably even better. But the Lav 2 will do the job and it'll do the work. That's what I'm mic'd up with right now. It comes with the traveling case, but it also comes with this hard case that acts as a charger as you go, so you can be able to charge it up. And it's just very easy to use. This is actually the mic itself, but I ended up buying separately. You can do this as a kit, actually, the lav mic that'll wire up. But a lot of people actually will pull this wire out. I'm not going to do that, but they'll actually just plug it up like this, and you can actually have the mic audio getting from there. And it's a 3mm jack that goes onto the camera, And it's just super simple. It's super easy. You can even use these on your phone and plug it in. There's a little adapter to plug into your phone to use the audio quality. So I will say that DJI just makes everything easier when it comes to setting the stuff up and being very quick with doing it. So I recommend that type of lav kit for audio. And it doesn't necessarily have to be DJI, but I'm just saying, look at how these lav mics are set up in installation compared to price, and you'll make the right decision. But don't go too cheap, but you don't have to go too expensive either. So another thing I wish I knew more of before I started videography was actually how to do the quoting and the pricing and the invoicing. And really, it's just kind of all figurative, really, when it comes to pricing out projects. But I will say is that you have to kind of think of it as like your hours of the amount of work that you're going to do either on the video shoot or adding up the video editing and figuring out what is kind of the average or slightly above average or maybe slightly below average hourly rate for both of those, and then make that number make sense to you as how much time and hours you're going to put into it. So I guess, for example, what I mean by that is in the beginning, I wouldn't realize how long video editing actually takes. 90% of the time, you're going to spend more hours on the video editing than doing the video shoot itself. So what I mean by that is like blanket statement is just add on buffer hours when it comes to video editing, because you have to think about the exporting part, the downloading the assets, also you thinking about creatively in your head. Not that you have to be too finite about the number of hours you're thinking about that project, but those type of small little things, and you uploading the files and everything there is like compute all that, and the admin and the emails and the meetings and back and forth. All of that should be considered as far as part of your admin video editing pricing. And then after that, when you have kind of a good pricing on the videography and the video editing, and then the admin or project management, so to speak, how do you present that? In the beginning, I would always be just spitting back this on a text message or just a couple sentences or on an email, and it didn't look good at all. It looked a little unprofessional, to be real with you. So what did I do to pivot from that? Well, I had a friend recommend me this site called Quiller. And there's other sites like this, but I love using this site itself. And it's one of those tools that you can use for quotes where it presents it virtually, where you can send it as a link for a client to look over. And they have like an a la carte kind of, you can click on certain items and upsell. Basically have a menu of different services that you can provide. And you could even have information about your company, or even have a testimonial or examples or terms and conditions and everything like that. So it's a very good tool. When I send this to clients, they're very impressed and they're like, wow, man, this guy knows what he's doing. He's got his stuff together. Last but not least, just a piece of advice, and I didn't start realizing this until I started working with other creative people like photographers or other video editors or other videographers and producers, is talk amongst these people and figure out who you could be able to do the shared app system. The same way that you and your friends and family are sharing your guys' passwords for Netflix and HBO Go and ESPN Plus, you can actually do the same thing with a lot of these design tools we use all the time. So for example, me and my brother, Gilbert, shout out to Gilbert, he's a web designer and we work on stuff together. We both use Adobe Creative Cloud. Well, guess what? Under one membership, you're allowed 2 separate laptops or 2 computers that can use the same password. So we both use it, and then we just split the cost of the membership, and there you go. And then there's these other memberships as well. There's like Envato, there's even Quiller that I talked about earlier. Talk with amongst your friends and figure out what software design tools that they're using, and figure out if there's a way that either you're doing a swap where like, hey, you can log into my information for the Envato if you give me access to the Quiller app. And I do that actually with one of my friends. So that's all I have for this video today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it for the Erban Creative channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. I'm getting close, guys. So if you have viewed this video but you haven't subscribed, I would surely appreciate it if you do. If you guys need any help with creative projects that you're just scratching your head on, check out the links below. I have consultations for 30 minutes and an hour that I can help you out with any creative goals that you guys have. Thanks for tuning in. And one last plug, guys, I wrote a memoir about my childhood cat. It's Ralph to the Rescue, a family feel-good story. It's 5 stars only on Amazon. Check the link below for that as well. You guys take care, and I'll see you on the next one.